Okay, now I think we're both on the same page. So the library homepage, the thing that's most visible about it is this search box here, and this search box is there to search everything that the library has access to. It is the only way to search for books that we have, that and WorldCat. So sometimes when you're searching in MLA, that database, a lot of times it'll give you book chapters. So if you want to know if we have a book chapter, you can go here to search or to WorldCat. So we'll look at both of those. And you need to sign in with MyGate. And we used to have a card catalog, but now this is kind of taken the place of the card catalog. So when you first do a search, it's searching everything that we have access to. It's searching articles, journals, books, media. So when you search Henrietta Lacks, you get 162 items. But if you're looking for books downstairs, then you want to come over to the left and click on Available in the Library. And that will limit to just the books that we have here. And it will give you the call number. And if you click on Get It, it'll tell you whether that book is in place or whether it's checked out or whether it's lost or something. So this one's in place. And in this particular search, when you're in MLA, it'll give you the chapter and the title of the book. So you probably want to search for the title of the book here instead of the name of the chapter. And it also gives you journals and articles, but we're going to look at subject-specific databases to use for your articles. But if you do find chapters in MLA, then you'll want to come here and look to see if you can find the book. And then our other card catalog that you can use to look for books, if you looked in Primo here and you didn't find the book, then you can go to WorldCat down at the bottom left, you'll see a link to WorldCat. And that will take you to, and you'll have to log in again. That will take you to First Search or WorldCat, and that is a catalog of all the libraries in the world who are part of OCLC. So if you need to find a book here, you can type it in. And you can limit, you could forego the other website or the other search and use this to search our library and limit to items in our library. Or you can search all of the libraries the way we're going to do. And if we own a book, it will say Murray State University here. So if you wanted to look to see where that book's located downstairs, you can click on that and then search the catalog at Murray State. And then it used to populate that for you, but now it doesn't. So we're going back to do what we just did. It will also tell you if a book is not available, like it doesn't say Murray State University, this one is a different edition, so you can click on that. And if you wanted to order that book from another library, then you could click on either Get It at MSU or Interlibrary Loan. And if you do that, it'll open up the login to ILLiad, and ILLiad's the name of the software program for Interlibrary Loan. Have y'all used Interlibrary Loan before? Okay. If you haven't used it before, you just go to First Time Users, and you read all the copyright information, and then you fill out this registration form, and you just do that once, and then at the bottom you'll put in a username and password for your ILLiad account, and that can be anything. And then once you've done that, whether you're in the databases or whether you're in WorldCat, you can simply log in and order books or journal articles. And it will fill out the form for you, and it will default to 0 cost. We are part of a pretty large consortium, so we can get most books for free and most journal articles for free. Occasionally, if only a few libraries have a book or a journal, they may want to charge us. And if they do, then we'll send you an email, and you'll get an email that says your request has been canceled for cost. And then it'll tell you how much it cost, and then you could order it by changing the cost if you wanted to, but no one ever wants to pay for an interlibrary loan, and usually you don't have to. And just glance at this form and make sure it filled in all the blanks, because sometimes some of the databases that they'll leave out the title or something. And then you go down here and you click Submit Request. Another thing you may want to think about is if you were in MLA, International Bibliography, and you just wanted a chapter of a book, then you could put in the notes that you could put the name of your chapter that you want and tell them that you only want that chapter. And then they can just scan the chapter and send it to you, so you'll get it in 3 or 4 business days instead of waiting for the book to come through the mail, and that can take a long time, a week or 2 or 3. And they won't always do this, but sometimes they will, and you'll get it quicker. But a lot of times when I'm in MLA and I order a chapter, I'm only interested in one chapter in a book. Once I get the book, then I'm interested in a lot of the chapters in the book. So sometimes it's good to get the whole book. And then once you order a book, you'll get an email, and they'll tell you that your book has arrived, and then you can come to the library, and Access Services is right to this side of the big computer lab out here. It's just a little glassed-in area, and you can go pick up your book. If no one's working in there, you can just go to the information desk, and they'll get it for you. And so, you're not limited to the books that we have access to here in the library. You can order books from all over the United States. And another thing that I didn't show you was online books. So if you're here and you search for books, we have a lot of online books. Especially for distance education students, this can be helpful. And if the book's online, it'll just say online access, and it'll say book, and then you can click on the title, and it'll give you a link to the provider. And this is an EBL book, so you can click on that, and it will open it up. And it's not a Kindle book. It's just the chapters are PDFs. So you can download chapters or read it online, and it will let you print, so many chapters as long as you don't exceed the copyright limit. And we have through EBL, we have 112,000 books, and then we have a lot through Springer and a few other providers. So those are the 2 places you can go to when you're looking for books: the big search box, and then WorldCat down at the bottom. And when you're looking for articles, the easiest way is to go to Research Guides and Tools up here at the top, and then go to S through Z, and then click on the TESOL, and that'll take you to the TESOL LibGuide. and Kathy is your librarian there. And it has tabs across here. It'll give you information on finding books, which is what we just looked at, how to cite, and some other things here. And then there's also a tab for finding articles. So we have 128 databases, and these are the main databases that Kathy thought would be the most relevant to TESOL students. So it's not a very long list. And a database is just a collection of articles that particular database has registered to use. Oh, I just thought of something. I forgot to tell y'all how to, well, no, we'll do that in a minute. So you can go to a database to look for articles. We'll go to Education Source, and it's an EBSCO database, and a lot of our databases are EBSCO databases. That's just the provider. And they will all look like this, and you've probably used these in the past. Does this look familiar to you? A lot of students use Academic Search Complete and maybe some of these. And below you'll see the limits. So you can limit to a particular language, or you can limit to a particular type of publication. You can limit to certain years if your professor said she didn't want anything over 10 years old or 5 years old. And you can also limit to scholarly peer-reviewed journals here.
Yeah, that one I would like to remind you, because that's very particular for us. We need peer-reviewed journal articles. So you always need to check that box.
Yeah, that makes it easy. Not all of the databases will let you do that, but this one does, and you can limit to a particular journal here too. This looks like a good idea to limit to full text because you don't want articles where you can't get the whole thing and read it. But we have linkers that'll link you to other databases. So if you limit to full text, then you're not going to get a lot of the good citations. And chances are you can get the full text somewhere else. So don't check that. So all we've done is limit to scholarly peer-reviewed journal articles. And when you first do a search, you don't really know the terms that the database uses yet. The database has a particular set of terms, and that's called either subject headings or descriptors or controlled vocabulary. And that means that when an indexer looks at an article, he has a list of terms, and like most of them are Library of Congress, that apply. So instead of you trying to think of all the synonyms for a term, they have one term. And if you search that one term, that one subject heading, it makes it a little easier. But when you first search, you don't know those terms. So when you first search, you're just using keywords because you don't know. And if you're searching a phrase, just put quotation marks around the phrase so the database will know you want those two words together. And I think I looked these up and they are subject headings, but and so we've set one limit, and we're searching two phrases. And the phrases are separated by the word and. And if you click on that arrow beside and, it'll also give you the choice of choosing or not. And those are your Boolean operators. So anytime you combine two concepts with and, you're telling the database that you want articles about reading comprehension and linguistic complexity. So every time you combine a concept with and, you're going to get fewer articles. And if you combine them with or, you're telling the database that you'll take articles on either or those topics. So then you get more articles. but it will always default to and. So usually what I do is just, usually I'll write on a piece of paper, I'll think about my topic, and I'll think about the concepts of that topic, and then I'll put synonyms down below. And then each one of these boxes, I'll put a separate concept. And you can add search boxes here, and then you can run your search. And we only get 9 articles. Once you do a search, your limits come over to the left, so you can change those or adjust them. And the brief citation will tell you whether the full text is available in this database. And it will say PDF full text, or it'll say linked full text, or linked HTML. So you can just click on those and get the full article. If it doesn't say that the full text is available, you can still click on the Get It at MSU, and it will take you to the link resolver, and it will tell you whether that article is available full text in a different database. And this one is available in JSTOR. So you can click on JSTOR and get the full article. I have not talked today, but my voice sounds like I've been talking all day. Sorry. So then you can download your PDF. Let's see if we can find another one. This one doesn't say full text, so if you click on Get It at MSU, it's already open. This one's not available in a different database. So then it will give you a link to Google Scholar and back to Interlibrary Loan. But before you order from Interlibrary Loan, I'm in a different language. Well, that's okay. I'm going to copy and paste and then go to Google Scholar. And if you're on your own computer in Google Scholar, you want to tell it that you're a Murray State student, so it'll give you Murray State full text. So go to Settings, and then go to Library Links, and then type in Murray State, and then click on the box, and then click Save. And then it'll know you're a Murray State student. And if you start out searching in Google Scholar, and we have the full text, it'll link you back to us and give you the full text. And some of the all of the IP, all of the computers here on Murray State knew they were Murray State, but now that we've changed library systems, it seems like every time I get on a new computer, it doesn't know it's Murray State. So then once you do that, then you can paste that in and search for it on Google Scholar. And if full text is available somewhere else, it'll give you a link out to the right. And if full text is available at Murray State, it'll say View It at MSU right here too. So if you click on that, it'll take you somewhere. It's downloading it. Oh, it's a PDF. Usually it gives you a link to a journal or a link to a repository or something. But Google Scholar will oftentimes have more versions. So if that version isn't available full text, sometimes a different version will be. And the other nice thing about Google Scholar is that it's a citation index. So sometimes when you're in an EBSCO database, and this one, oh yeah, see, sometimes EBSCO will say, will give you a link to the articles that have cited that article in EBSCO. So 2 of these do. And sometimes EBSCO will give you a link to the references. So instead of having to print the article or read the article and looking at the references, it'll let you click on it. And sometimes these will be links, but none of these are links. And it'll always tell you how many times these articles have been cited in the database. So EBSCO does it. I don't know why. It's just like an arbitrary thing. I'm sure there's some reason for why it does it sometimes and why it doesn't. Why it does and why it doesn't. And this one's been cited 14 times. So when you look at the times cited, then these articles cited that original article. And if you look at cited references, then those are the articles that the original article cited. So I always tell students, don't get discouraged because you only found 2 or 3 articles on your topic, because students are always saying, I want to change my topic, I want to change my because once you find, 2 or 3 good ones, and you look at their citations, and you look at who cited them, that'll open up many more choices for you as far as references go. And when I try really hard to do comprehensive searches, and I try to search all the different databases, and I try to think of all the terms, and so I feel like I've found everything, but I never do. And, we don't have all the databases. And, but I always find articles in Google Scholar, because Google Scholar is so big. It's so much bigger than our databases. And you will oftentimes see they have an agreement with Web of Science. So a lot of times you'll see Web of Science and how many times the article was cited by Web of Science articles. But that number is always smaller than the Google number, because Google's so big. But because it's so big, it's hard to search. To go into Google and search, it's kind of difficult because they don't have that controlled vocabulary and stuff. But if you want to be comprehensive, when you do find good articles in the databases, plug them into Google Scholar and look at your cited bys. Because you want to get a research circle going. You want to see who's citing who. And as you do that, you'll start to see the same articles. You'll start to see the authors who've written on your topic. You'll start to see journals. And you'll start to feel like you've got a handle on this topic. Although occasionally you'll see a new article and you'll think, oh, I haven't read that. What's that? So you want to go look at that too. But let's pretend like we looked at Google Scholar and it wasn't there in full text. So your other option is go to Interlibrary Loan, like we did in WorldCat. So we click on that, and we log in, except we get our fingers on the right keys. And it didn't put the title name in there, so why didn't it do that? So if it doesn't, just help it along and put in those things. It has the ISSN number, so it probably would be okay. And it's going to default to 0, and then you're going to submit request. And we have some publishers that we have an agreement with through Get It Now. So sometimes you'll order an article through Interlibrary Loan, you'll get it like in an hour. But that's because it's a pay-per-view. Normally it's 3 to 4 business days, but we have more and more publishers all the time. So when your article comes in, you'll get an email and it says your article's here. So then you go back to the library homepage. There it is. And down at the bottom, you'll see a link to ILLiad. So you want to go back to ILLiad and log in. And then look under View and Electronically Received Articles. And that's where your PDF will be. It's not in your email. It seems like it would be in your email, but it's not. It's sitting on this server. And it will expire usually in 2 to 3 weeks. So that article will sit there and you can download it or print it. And then after that date, it disappears. what am I doing here? Okay. So we only got 9 articles. So when you see articles that look relevant, then if you click on the title, you can look at the subject headings and see if there's something there that you need to add to your search. Reading comprehension is a subject heading, but there's also comprehension, which is a little broader. So if you only got 9 articles, you might want to add comprehension. And then linguistics is broader than linguistic complexity, I think is what it said. And then you'll have these author-supplied keywords, and sometimes those can be helpful. And you can look at the abstract and see, read about the article and see if you're interested in an article, and see how they conducted their study. And then once you're in this full record, it will open up these tools on the right, and you can email yourself, or you can save it, or it'll tell you how to cite it. How to cite it in MLA, or you can click on permalink and get the permanent link to that article. Also in EBSCO you can sign in, and it's just like ILLiad. If you haven't ever signed into EBSCO, you just register and make a new account, and then you can save your articles or save your searches. And I put in my wrong one. Bless you. And then once you're signed in, it'll say My EBSCO over here, and it'll say Sign Out. And then when you go back to your, when you go back to your search, and you want to keep articles, then you can click on this plus folder, and you can make a folder for your topic and add it there, so you won't forget what your article was. And you can save searches, and then you can go up here to your folders and find your articles. So that's kind of cool. And if you're writing a big paper, then you might want to look at EndNote. We have EndNote and Web of Science, and it's a real reference manager system. So it will make bibliographies for you. You add your articles there. You can download a plugin called Cite While You Write. So while you're writing, it'll connect you to EndNote, and it'll put your in-text citation, and then when it puts in your in-text citation, it'll put in your it'll put that citation in your bibliography too, and it will make your life. It's a little tricky. It's a little tricky to use, but in the end, it saves you a lot of time. So I just want to mention that to you if you've got a big paper on the horizon, and you feel like you would like to use a reference manager system.
Is there any way you can show us a little bit about the
Sure.
EndNote? Yeah.
So to get to EndNote, you can go to Databases, A to Z, or you can just Google EndNote, but I think the first time you probably have to go to Web of Science. And you click on Web of Science. And EndNote is part of Web of Science. And Web of Science is like it shows in Google Scholar. It's a very big database and has a lot of international journals in it. A lot of the EBSCO databases are very kind of United States focused, and Web of Science will broaden you and get you back out into the international journals. So then you click on EndNote, and Web of Science is a citation index too, and I really like the way it makes things look, and we might look at that too. So then you sign, oh, if you haven't registered, then you sign up. And it'll be a registration form. And then once you do that, then you can log in. Email. Oh, I put in part Hotmail email and part Murray State email. No. So now we're in EndNote, and you can see it kind of looks like EBSCO because I have a lot of folders here, and they have articles in them. And if you want to work with someone, you can share your folders with someone. Unfortunately, it won't let you share full text, so you can attach articles, but you can't share the full text of the article with someone else. But it'll always, a lot of times I don't attach articles because it lets you click on Get It at MSU and links you back to the article anyway. And so when you're in like Google Scholar, do I have Google Scholar open? There it is. Then you go to Cite, and let's say you want to cite it in MLA. It really doesn't matter because you can change it, but you click on RefMan, and because you want it with EndNote, you want it to have that .ris at the end. And then you say OK. And then over on my other side, it opened up this box. And this is why I said it's kind of a pain, because you feel like you're just, all you're doing is logging in over and over and over and over.
But it saves time at the end.
It does. Because sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to do this. And then once it's there, then it goes, yay, one reference exported to EndNote. So this is Lopez. So then if we go back to EndNote, then we can search for Lopez, and it should be there. Yeah, so you click that, and then you add it to your folder. So you make as many folders as you want, and you can add articles to your folders. And then you can format your bibliography. If you want to download Cite while you write, you can do that here. And then that will go to your Word on your computer, and then you click Cite, and then it will communicate with EndNote and pull your citations in while you're writing your paper, which is really cool. And it'll ask you to log in every time. So it's scared to death that someone that's not you is going to try to get in. And then you can you can tell it what kind of reference style you want, or what type of citation style you want. Because sometimes, while you're writing your paper, you'll write it in APA, and then you get submitted to a journal and they go, no, we want it in Chicago or whatever, and then you have to redo it. But this makes it really easy to do that. So, but the main thing is, in any database you're in, most of the databases don't go to EndNote Web. Once in a while they'll have a link to EndNote Web, but if they don't, then you can choose RefMan, and that'll make it that .ris that you need. And Google Scholar is, out of all the databases, it seems to have the worst references, but you just go back in and fill in any holes. So, And if you have questions, like if you want to use that and you have questions about it, you can come see me. So we only found 9. I'm sorry, I got off on a tangent there. So if we want to expand this number, then we're going to use our other Boolean operator and expand it, because we're going to say, okay, I'm going to search comprehension or reading comprehension. I know those are 2 entirely different things, aren't they? Because you have, but since I don't know much about linguistics, we'll just pretend like I know something. And we're also going to add linguistics, bless you. Although this is probably a really bad example, because it's going to pick up comprehension and it's going to pick up linguistic, because those are part of the words in there. But we've got an S on the end of linguistics, so we'll see. And when you use Boolean operators in that search, you want to put parentheses around them and nest those terms. And as you're searching, you'll find other synonyms or words that you can add to it to expand that search. So now we have 3,000. That's too many. So maybe I went a little too broad there, didn't I? Okay. 31. That's better. I'm cheating. But I like to get this number around a number that you can scan through, because if you got 3,000, you might have 10 good articles in those 3,000, but you're not going to find them because you're not going to scan through 3,000 articles. So you want to spend a little time working on your search to get this number down, and you can go to page options and change that to 50. I always feel good if I get that number around 100, and if I'm really at that stage where I want to make sure I've found everything, then I'll go up to 200 and scan. But it's just a lot of playing and trying different terms and getting a good search of relevant articles. And even though we limited to scholarly peer-reviewed journals, you know, they still have like letters to the editors and book reviews and things like that. So they're not all going to be scholarly articles. But on this brief citations, it'll tell you how many page numbers it is. So if it's 1 page, then you know it's something that you really aren't interested in. And then if you want to try a different database, you can go up here to Choose Databases. And that will open up all the databases that are EBSCO databases. And we have a lot of them. So you may want to try ERIC, which is the other big education database. Or you have to think about what you're writing about. If it's got if you're looking at psychology, you know, the psychology of second language or something, then you could look at PsycInfo and psychology, behavior, and behavioral sciences. And so there's different choices there. And then you can rerun your search. Or you could search several at the same time. And sometimes, like we were looking at linguistics, there's different forms of that word. So if you, there's truncation devices. So if you wanted to tell the database to search for linguistic or linguistics or linguistical or any of those things that change the word after that asterisk, you can put an asterisk there and it'll search instead of you having to type or and all those different words. So that can save you some time. And then we get back up to 3,000. Linguistics is a big broad thing, isn't it? Do y'all have topics yet? Probably not. Y'all aren't at that point yet.
You want topics to do research?
Yeah, maybe the.
You can do like motivation, do yeah. Get a topic from our textbook from what we are talking about. Pragmatics.
Cross-linguistic?
Cross-linguistics, yeah. Those are
Okay.
terms, yeah.
Cross-linguistic.
Motivation cross-linguistics probably is
You think?
kind of hard to.
You think there's a hyphen?
Possible.
We'll put that there. And motivation, does that make sense?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, or context. You can put another one.
Context, motivation, and context. So that gets us down to 3. So we put in these keywords, and so if you find an article that looks relevant, then you just click into it and see.
It's a Journal of Multilingualism, that's very relevant already. Yeah.
And when you're in ERIC,
Multilingual development.
ERIC calls them descriptors instead of subject headings. And they look like they have learning, motivation, and second language learning, and then they're talking about in the bilingual context. So, Education Source and ERIC have 2 different controlled vocabularies, so keep that in mind. You have to kind of rethink your terms. And I'll look at her other databases. JSTOR is a really big database with a lot of content. It's hard to search, but it has I kind of tend to use it the way I do Web of Science and Google Scholar. When I find good articles, like for you, when you find good articles in these databases, then you might try putting them in JSTOR to see what you get, because it's just not a very good search interface, but it's big, so you kind of hate to not search it. And you can see how big it is when you're in the other databases. A lot of times they'll link you back to JSTOR. See, we put this title in, and it gives us 7,000 articles.
We just know they're only free now.
So you see, it's not a very good search, a way to search, but you can limit to your area of study. You could limit to linguistics and language and literature, I guess. So that's I was really happy when we got this because there's so much content here, but I don't like searching. And then your other big ones, you probably use MLA a lot.
We
Not-
use some,
not
but
so
very
much.
often for us. For literature, they do.
Yeah.
They use MLA. We
And-
use,
The only,
we have the dissertation and
Yeah.
the abstract of that one, I think.
Yes.
That one we use a lot.
we do the ProQuest, and it's not on here, but if you go back to the library site and go to databases, our dissertations are under P for ProQuest. That's not very intuitive, is it? But there's ProQuest, dissertation, and theses. And There's a lot of full text here too.
Maybe we can search for second language. And motivation is still lacking.
Motivation, okay, just motivation.
Yeah, let's do this too.
And, you know, think about, sometimes phrases will have hyphens, like you'll see it in one search, it'll have a hyphen in one and not a hyphen in the other. It'll be put together or separated. So keep that in mind and search, when you see phrases like that, search them all different ways, because there's not a lot of, sometimes there's not a lot of agreement. So now, for these, you can download the PDFs, or you can preview the PDF. So there's all this full text. Occasionally you'll see one that doesn't have the full text, so you can click on Get It at MSU. I'm not sure what that would do for you. Oh, I guess it would take you to ILL. Yeah. Some universities will loan dissertations, but sometimes it's kind of hard to get them. And usually dissertations, someone spent a lot of time on it, like 10 years. So if you can look at their references and their writing on your topic, it's a really good way to find a lot of articles and stuff. So you have that, and I was really happy when we got that too. But the one thing, if you're interested in books, MLA is one of the databases that has a lot of book chapters in it. And they have theses and journals and books. And this must be a different search than I did. So if you see a chapter that you want, remember that you can, this is the title of the chapter, and I'll give you the page numbers, and then this is the title of the book. So you can put that chapter title into WorldCat, or you can put the book title into WorldCat and see if we have it, the book, or you can order it from ILL. And if we do have a book, it's always, and you're interested in book chapters, it's always good to go downstairs and look at that book and look at what's around it, because sometimes you may find something beside it that you like better than the book that you went down there for. But that might be more of a literature thing. I know literature people tend to do that more than other disciplines.
We sometimes look at
chapters.
Chapters too, but not as often as there. Now we study more about journals, research papers.
And there is a link to ProQuest dissertation thesis. I just didn't look very good, did I? And then Science Direct is all the Elsevier journal, so it's huge and hard to search, but a lot of content. So, and we have pay-per-view agreement with Elsevier, so if you find journal articles in Science Direct, then, now how am I going to get that? Then if it's not available in PDF, then you can ask your librarian or your professor to order it for you, and we will get it for you. And I'm really not sure how much linguistics is in here, but we'll see. And once again, if you find good articles in the databases that are easy to search, you can put them in here, and it's kind of like JSTOR. It's going to give you thousands probably, but
That's good, that's, yeah. I don't often use this database, I think it's very good.
I don't know about, Elsevier's just swallowed up so many publishers that chances are any discipline is in there now. But like this one, the PDF is here, so you can click on it and get it. But if you see an article that you want, and there's not a PDF, then you can email me and I will get it for you, because I can just download it, or maybe you can. So Web of Science is really big, Science Direct is really big, and JSTOR is really big, and Google Scholar. But they're all hard to search. But don't discount them because they're hard to search. Just work with them and put your good articles in there. And depending on your search, if your search is something that you can be really specific about, then you can search Google Scholar or Science Direct and find stuff. So so for books, Big Search Box and WorldCat, when you order articles through Interlibrary Loan, you get back to it through ILLiad here. If you want to look at all the databases, you can go to Databases A to Z and look through Subject. And if you're looking for articles, you just go to Research Guides and Tools, and then TESOL, and then Finding Articles. And there's a sampling of databases. And then we'll just go. If you see an article that's not available in full text, you just click on Get It at MSU, and many times it will be available in one or more databases, and it'll show up the link right here. And then if not, copy and paste the title into Google Scholar to see if it's full text there. And then if not, then order it through Interlibrary Loan. And we will do our best to get you any article that you want. Any questions? Anything I didn't cover that you were hoping I would cover?
Can you show them a little bit? Let's see, it's almost time. So, for example, they look for the articles in one particular journal. So,
like if you
give
want
a journal title, and then just go research that.
Okay. Well.
TESOL journal.
Oh, that's a good.
TESOL Quarterly.
Okay.
TESOL Quarterly. Yeah, that's a journal.
Also, TESOL Association, they have the TESOL journal.
Yeah, they have a TESOL journal, but TESOL Quarterly we use it very often. I think a library has it. TESOL Quarterly. We used to have it.
So if you're in the database, you can limit, and we didn't even get into field searches, but you can limit to a journal. Where is journal? Journal name in the databases. Or if you wanted to just look at a journal, or if you wanted to know if we had a particular journal, then you can go down to Journals A to Z, and that'll take you to Browsing. And Browsing, you said TESOL Quarterly?
Yeah, TESOL Quarterly.
My fingers aren't working. And click on it. And you can add books to your bookshelf. So you can go and read these journals, and stay up to date and browse the journals instead of looking, for a specific article in a database. You can just read your journals and stay up to date on the topic. And you can click, like these are the 2016 issues, and then the articles open over here. And then if you click on change year, it'll show you the years that are available. And this probably has an embargo, but if you click right here, it'll tell you what kind of access we have. And sometimes it'll be different, our holdings. See if I make that bigger. So we have it through Education Source back to 2011, but we don't have the most recent year. So that's the embargo. But through Wiley, we have it back to 1996, and you can get the latest year. So most of them, and like this one, JSTOR, has a 4-year embargo, so you can't get the last 4 years, but it goes back to 1967. So really, we have access from 1967 to the present. So, and you can just look at those years through browsing. Except this one is part of that embargo, so it's not letting me do that. Although Wilson, we should have access. So in that case, you might need to go to the Wilson database to read the article. This is not a perfect system. I wish it were, but it's got some bugs, I think. And then you can also look by topic. If you went to education, where's education?
Education should be classified.
Arts and humanities? No. Socio-behaviors? That wouldn't be TESOL, would it?
Maybe linguistics,
Oh,
they have
yeah.
education classified.
They do have education.
Linguistics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, applying linguistics, we have all.
So it'll open up those, and then you can limit to like applied linguistics.
Yeah. Yeah, that's us. Applied
That's shown,
linguistics.
okay. And if you click on one, that says it's locked. So it too has a 1 year. Can't get the last year, which sucks.
Then we need to do the interlibrary loan if we
Yeah.
need articles,
Yeah.
so to get articles from those journals.
And look on Google Scholar too, because there's so much open access out there now that I don't have to use interlibrary loan as near as much as I used to because there's so much open access. But a year may not be available because there's normally at least a 6-month embargo, if not a year embargo. So. But this is nice to read if they're up to date. If we don't have an embargo, it's a nice way to stay on top of your reading. Any other questions or anything I missed, skipped, glossed over, went too fast?
It's very good. We can always come back if we have any questions.
Yeah,
When we get to the point of searching articles, then we can come back and
Yeah, that would be
get it.
I love to have people come back twice when they're in the
Yeah, when they're working on it, they may have.
when you're in the
Specific
throes of
questions.
your research and you have your topic, then if you want to come back and we'll just review and or answer questions, then My number's 3760 if you want to call, if you have questions. I'm in 213, which is right down the hall. Or you can email me, cvance4@murraystate.